Check out my illustrated collection of short horror stories in my new book, Corruption, available now on my website, afterplagueart.myshopify.com. Hello Acolytes, and welcome back to Inktober. This is the 8th video I am making about Inktober, so if you haven't seen the others, you can check them out in the iCard now. Grief is a really strange thing. It can do really weird things to some people, but the actions of the man taken in Inktober's Day 26, Remove, might be the strangest of them all. When an expert doll maker loses his young daughter in an accident, he is devastated. He's grieving, he just feels horrible. But one day at an auction, an estate auction, he sees a book that smells of dirt and death and decay. And he is compelled to purchase it. When he's flipping through the book, he suddenly sees his name appear at the top of one of the pages. The ink seems to shift and move and pulse underneath the surface of the book. And when it rises to the surface, it speaks of a ritual of a doll. It gives blueprints and diagrams of how to make this doll. And a ritual where you can drag the soul of somebody into the body of this doll. And the doll maker decides, well, I have a daughter that I want back, and I am an expert doll maker, so I am going to build this doll. And madness and bad stuff happens from there. So for Remove, it was difficult for me to think of something that I wanted to do, something that would be scary. I was trying to think of something that's like, oh, what's scary being removed? And then I thought of eyes. Eyes are very scary being removed, but I didn't want to go too horribly gory, so I decided to do these doll eyes. But they're maybe a little bit more real than just, glass eyes, because these eyes are bleeding. So I had a really great time drawing this really frilly, girly, cute doll character. I love this dress. It's Lolita-inspired fashion. I love her curls. You know me, guys. I love a good hair moment. I love drawing hair. It's so fun. The curls were so tedious, but I think they turned out so cute, so I'm very happy with them. I'm really pleased with this outfit. I feel like it makes her look really doll-like. I made sure to make her eyes sort of ridiculously big compared to the rest of her facial proportions to really draw your attention to them, first of all, because there is this eye situation going on, and secondly, to emphasize the dollness of her, because that's what people say, right? They're like, oh, you have doll-like eyes. So yeah, I wanted to make sure that they were really big, but I intentionally didn't add any shines to her eyes because I wanted them to look dead. And this is the second time I've done this, actually. I forgot to mention it when I was talking about Frost. I didn't add any sparkles to her eyes intentionally to make them look more dead and frozen. It's a really easy way to create an uncanny valley effect in your illustrations. Don't give your characters eye shines, and immediately it makes them look more dead and creepy. So, fun tip for you there. If you want your character to look creepy, do not give them shiny eyes at all. It doesn't matter if it doesn't make sense for the scene. It will make them look dead. So that was something that I definitely emphasized there. This one did take me a long time because of the intricacy, if I could say that word, because of the intricacy of her curls, of her dress, of all of these ruffles down the front. It did take me quite a while. But I was enjoying it for the most part. Again, the curls were a little tedious, but I like how they look a lot, so I'm willing to put in the time and the effort to get a result that I think looks good. Something that really helped me during this illustration, I don't know if this is interesting to you guys, but something that really helped me during this illustration, do you guys remember that trend? It was that song from Pretty Little Liars, Secret by the Pierces, on TikTok, where there was this really good special effects makeup challenge. I really wish that would come back. That was amazing, where they would pretend, they would do dead body makeup, and then they would bring themselves back to life. Oh my gosh, it was so cool. So that sincerely really helped with this illustration. It gave me exactly the vibes that I was looking for. It gave me a ton of inspiration. So shout out to all of the creators that did that trend. I watched probably 100 of those videos, and they were a massive, massive help and a massive, massive inspiration. So I don't know if that interests you guys, but it was sincerely a really interesting trend. I can't remember what it was called. If you look up maybe the Pierces or Pretty Little Liars dead makeup trend, so good. So good. Anyway, I'm really pleased with how the blood looks in this illustration running from the eye. I feel like it looks really creepy and kind of gross, so I'm very pleased with that. I also added these cracks in the porcelain. That does have something to do with the story of the illustration. If you'd like to hear any of these stories through to completion, please check out my book on my website, afterplagueart.myshopify.com. The book is called Corruption. It's a collection of 31 short stories, 31 illustrations. All of the stories that I talk about behind the illustrations in these videos are all completed in that collection. So please go check that out and enjoy it. And if you do end up getting a copy, please tag me or at me or send me a picture. I would love, love, love to see some copies of my book out in the wild. So yeah, I'm just about finished up here, just adding in the last little blood splatters on his hand. And this illustration took me 4 hours and 45 minutes. Day 26, remove. Would you want to know if one of your loved ones was going to die? That's sort of the question posed in Inktober's Day 27 Beast. So in this small village, there is a creature, a harbinger of death. And it's this massive wolf-like creature with big, sharp, white antlers and this long, inky black cloak. And it follows the loved ones of people who are marked for death. So say it was following you, a close member of your family or a close friend would be marked for death, and the harbinger just follows them the day before their loved one dies, whispering in their ear and holding their shoulder. You know, it's not a malevolent force necessarily. It's just a signal that somebody that you love is in trouble and going to die. But the people of the town have found that, like, there's nothing they can really do about the harbinger. Like, they can't kill it, they can't get rid of it, they can just see it. And they've found out over the years that telling somebody that they're being followed by the harbinger only leads to, like, fear and tension and big dramatic reactions and them lashing out at the person that told them. It's always, always, always been a bad thing for them. They have a rule as a society that when somebody is being followed by the harbinger, you never, ever tell them. And the people in this town are acting really strangely towards the protagonist today. Is he being followed by the harbinger, or is something else going on? That is the story behind Day 27, Beast. And I'm very pleased with this illustration. I love how this turned out. The window, oh my gosh. Once again, thank you, Procreate Symmetry Tool. I love you. I keep saying it because honestly, I wouldn't have been able to get some of these done without it. Like, this illustration with the symmetry tool took me like 5 hours, and without it would have taken me like 7 or 8. So I'm eternally grateful for the symmetry tool on Procreate. I really like this window. It's got this sort of cottagey, broken down feeling, and it is specifically the exterior of the window looking in. I did do that intentionally. The harbinger is not outside their door going tap, tap, tappy, let me in. He's already in the house. Like, he has his ways of getting inside. So that is intentional. I also really like these dark black vines and also the black solid leaves. I feel like they really add to this interest. They distribute the black of the window a little bit through the rest of the illustration. So the black isn't the only dark spot in the entire illustration. It's supposed to be the most dramatic dark spot in the illustration, but it's not the only one. And I actually really like that. So I'm very pleased with those leaves. If I were to make a change, I would maybe add a few of those leaves coming up from the bottom and creating like a little arch at the bottom as well, just to balance some of that darkness from the top to the bottom. I don't think it's a huge deal because there are those vines down there, but they don't really grab as much attention as the silhouette of the leaves. So if I were to make a change, that would probably be it. So this beast, he's essentially a wolf with these big giant antlers and sort of a human body, a human hands, you know. He's an amalgamate. He's a wolf man with antlers and 6 eyes. And he's got, obviously, like I said, this big, long, flowing, inky black cloak that seems to shift and change with the air. It's not entirely ethereal. I mean, it is entirely ethereal. It's not entirely tactile. It's not entirely there, essentially, is what I'm trying to say. I, again, like Shallow from last video, spent a lot of time working on this fur. I love doing this kind of fur with these ink brushes. It's so fun. I can't tell you how fun it is. Genuinely, it's just a really great time. I'm allowed to work really expressively and just move with the flow of things. And I really like that. You can see that the sketch wasn't as detailed as the final fur is, obviously, because that gives me a lot of room to just mess around and be creative and have a little bit of freedom. I did blend the fur back into the background, and I like how that looks a lot. And the final touch I put on this illustration was these shines on the panes of glass, and I really like how those turned out as well. This illustration took me 4 hours and 15 minutes, and this is Inktober's Day 27 Beast. The last illustration we're doing in this video is Day 28 Sparkle. So this is a story about things beyond our comprehension. I've often heard cosmic horror, eldritch horror, Lovecraftian horror described as like an ant trying to understand a computer or trying to understand a circuit board. It's like so beyond the abilities of their comprehension that it's impossible for them. If they were to understand the complexities of a circuit board, a computer, and then they tried to go back to their normal life as an ant, they couldn't, right? That's the idea of cosmic horror. And so I leaned into this idea a little bit with this crow. So in the story of Sparkle, there's this crow who enjoys the forest. He's living in his nest, and every morning he goes down to the river and he watches the rising sun dance on the surface of the river. It sparkles and sparkles and sparkles, and he's like, oh my god, this is amazing, this is the best thing in my whole life. And anytime he's away from it, he's like, oh, I wish I could be there looking at the sparkles. And so he decides, I'm gonna get one. I'm gonna get a sparkle for myself, my own personal sparkle. I'm gonna take it home and keep it, and it's gonna be mine. And so his first attempt is he goes to the river and he tries to use his sharp, quick beak to grab the sparkle out of the water. He's really good at fishing, so he's like, oh, I should be able to grab it, no problem. But every time he doesn't have the sparkle, it just seems to elude him. So his next plan is to somehow get a container. He's like, look, I'm very smart. I've realized that the sparkle needs water in order to live. I'm killing the sparkle by pulling it out of the water, so I'm gonna get some water. And he manages to catch a little bit of water in a cup, and he sets it just right in the sun where he catches his own little sparkle. And it's not as good as the one on the river, but it's something. It's something, and he's so happy, he's so pleased. And he keeps the sparkle in his nest. He can't take it with him everywhere because that's it. He might drop the water and then the sparkle will be gone forever. So he can't take it with him, but he covers it up whenever he's gone so the other crows can't get to it. He's got his own sparkle. One day, one evening, when he's flying around, a sparkle, unlike anything he's ever seen, catches his eye in the park, and he lands on a nearby lamppost. And he's like, what is that? It's like 1,000,000 of my sparkle. It's crazy. And there's no water here, so it's a sparkle that's stronger than mine. It can live on its own. It is the most amazing thing in the universe, and I have to have it. He feels internally that if he doesn't have it, he's going to die. He's like, I need this sparkle more than anything in the whole universe. But unfortunately, it seems like a human might already own this sparkle. But that won't stop the crow. He will do anything to get this sparkle. So that's the basic idea behind the story. If you want to read what actually happens in the story, check out my book. Again, Corruption, afterplayguard.myshopify.com. I'm going to be really annoying about this. Guys, I spent like 400 hours on this book. I'm not joking. I'm not joking in the slightest. I spent so much time on it. Like at least 150 hours drawing, at least 150 hours writing, at least 100 hours editing. Please go check it out. I love you so much. Okay. So this illustration, I didn't think it would take me that long. I was like, oh, this is going to be easy. It's a bird holding an ear with an earring on it. This is going to be easy. And then I did too much with the feathers. I could have done less, but I really like how these feathers turned out. They are so layered. They are so dimensional. I love them. I think they turned out really good. Even though they took me way longer than I wanted to. I started this like before bed. I was like, oh, this will be easy. I'll get this done in an hour and a half, baby. I will be done so quick. And then it was like 1 a.m. and I'm still drawing feathers. And I'm like, when will I be done? But I do think it turned out really good. So it was worth it. It was worth it. It was worth it. Everything I did this month, all of the pain and the torture and the drawing and the pain and the tears and the pain, It was all worth it. I'm incredibly proud of each and every one of these illustrations. Every single one is, in my book, a winner. I want some of these so badly to put up on my own walls, to print and hang up my own prints of these. I want some of them really badly up on my walls. Specifically, I really like Remove from this episode and Beast from this episode. I would maybe hang up all three. Sparkle's good too. It's just, you know, the ear. Breaking news! Interrupting this recording to tell you that my copy of my book just got delivered. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. So I will be posting it all over my social media for the next several days. You're not going to be able to get away from it. I'm going to be posting this the whole time. So I'm so excited. I'm speechless. Anyway, not important. I was talking about the prints and how I would honestly really like a bunch of these prints for myself. Currently, most of my prints go through a service that's print on demand. I would love to be able to print them in-house so I can give you guys freebies and fun stuff and do bundles and stuff like that. So if you continue supporting me, I will bring production in-house, and I promise that I will give you guys all sorts of fun freebies. So I did put a lot of time and detail into making these feathers dimensional. If you've seen my video that has Angel prompted it, I think it was day 17. If you've seen that video, you know I talked a little bit about how I didn't want to do shading on every feather, in between every feather, because that would take so much time. This is the one that I did all of that shading in. And I figured I should do it in this illustration to give a certain level of detail. The other one was already so full of detail that it wasn't necessary, but with this one I really do feel like it was quite necessary in order to properly do this illustration. So I really wanted to make sure that I added enough shading, enough texture to each feather to really make the bird appear like it was there. I also did give him this little log to stand on. I didn't give it too much detail. I added some just to obviously bring it in line with the rest of the illustration, but I didn't want to take too much away from the feathers. So I did go in and add plenty of texture here so that it didn't look bare, but not so much that it was distracting. The earring was quite difficult. I feel like I didn't quite figure out how to make it shine. I did add some special brushes, some special effects to make it look more like it was glowing, and I do think that that drew more attention to it. I did try initially to just draw it, and I tried to do some background elements as well, but I didn't like either of those, so I ended up using some brush effects. And of course I added some blood on the ear and some blood on the beak of the crow as well, just to give it a little bit more of that visceral nature. So this illustration took me 4 hours and 15 minutes, and this is day 28 Sparkle. So that brings us to the end of week 4 of Inktober, which means there is only one more video left. There's only 3 more days of Inktober left. Those prompts are Massive, Rush, and Fire. So if you would like to see any of those, follow me on all my social media. I am Afterplague on Twitch, Twitter, Threads, TikTok, and I am After_Plague on Twitter. Check out my book Corruption. I'm so excited. I just got my copy. I got the hardcover and it looks amazing. I flipped through it. Everything printed so beautifully. The cover turned out so well. Genuinely, I'm so happy with how it turned out. Remember that you can get 15% off your first purchase on my website, afterplagueart.myshopify.com. Thank you again so much for watching. If you like this video, please leave a like. If you want to see more from me, subscribe. Again, follow me on my social media so you can see all of my stuff early before the videos come out. The last video will be out on Halloween, October 31st. So I will see you again, and I hope you survive this post-plague world.